I want to talk to you again today on speaking blessings. In Colossians chapter 4, verse 6, the Apostle Paul says this, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." Now, speaking blessings, in a previous talk, I talked about a prayer covenant that we had at Westminster Chapel. And the idea was, watch everything you say, be sure what you say blesses them. And I came up with an acrostic, the word need, N-E-E-D. The first N means necessary. Is it necessary to say this? And I would say 9 out of 10 times when something goes wrong with a comment we made, like that spark that sets the forest fire going, because we're still in this subject of controlling the tongue. And I would say 9 out of 10 times when I say something I shouldn't say, and a word that is poisonous instead of being sweet, I didn't need to say it. So the first question you ask, is it necessary? And if you can say yes, this is necessary, then proceed. But then there's another. Is it emancipating? In other words, does it set the person free? What Jesus said always set people free. And I'd like to think that when I speak, whether like now, when this is going over the waves on television, or to one other person, does it set them free? Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Jesus set people free. So I ask, is it necessary? Is it emancipating? Then the next question I would suggest we ask ourselves is this: will what I say energize? Will my words to them provide energy, vigor, and renewed ability to cope? You know, there are two kinds of people in the world. There are the drainers, they're the energizers. The drainers are those, after a while, you just think, oh, I'm so glad this conversation's over, and you're just tired. You want to sit down and rest. People can drain you. But then once in a while, there is that energizer. And when you talk to that person, you think, oh, good. I know a few minutes with this person, I will feel better. When I was at Westminster Chapel, I always prayed for wisdom in the vestry as well as in the pulpit. And it would give me enormous satisfaction when people would come in with a problem and leave feeling energized. Now, I couldn't always do that, but I tried. And this may be the hardest thing of the 4 to carry out. Here are the 4 to remind you. Is it necessary? Does it emancipate? Does it energize? And then we'll come in a moment to, does it dignify? Well, I give you this promise. If you try to energize them, you will almost certainly do them no harm, and you will get energized. After all, part of controlling the tongue is not to send a spark that will ignite a flame and cause a forest fire, not to utter poison that will make them sick. But so when we are trying to energize, it is highly unlikely that the fire of hell that James talks about in James chapter 3 will erupt. And I can promise one more thing. If you ask yourself, will what I say energize, and you're not likely to regret what you say to anyone, even if you don't energize, I can tell, try to energize them. Just try. You won't offend this way. Neither will you likely make them defensive. You're not going to stick your foot in it or make a comment that will upset them. All right. How do we energize? That's the question. I think the way to energize is twofold. 1, what you don't say. 2, what you do say. And here's my advice for what it's worth. one can safely apply when you want to energize a person by what you don't say. Make sure you say nothing that smacks of pointing the finger. Don't criticize. The English writer Somerset Maugham said that when people ask for criticism, they really want praise. So true. And most people you meet already have a fairly severe problem with guilt already. I guarantee it. Most people you're talking to have a problem with guilt. And the last thing they need is for you or to me to be accusing them of anything. Never forget this too. The devil is the accuser. We learned this from the book of Revelation, chapter 12. That's what the devil does. That's what he does. That's his job. Don't be the devil. But here's another thing. Say nothing that will make them fearful or the slightest bit intimidated. Be careful that what you say is not threatening or giving them a feeling of being inferior. Don't talk down to people. You know, most people have somewhat of an inferiority complex. Don't add to that. And here's another thing. Do not say anything that will play into their jealousy. Don't puff yourself. Don't name drop. Do not talk about your good news. It's easy to find some who will weep with you. Few will rejoice with you. Don't talk about the things that you're happy about in your life. They're not that interested. But here are things you can do that will help energize. First, let them save face. In Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, he's got a section in there called Let the Other Person Save Face. It's an Oriental expression, but we're all Orientals. We don't want to lose face. We don't want somebody throwing up what we've done and reminding of it. So don't let them lose face, let them save face. And if you happen to know they have done something that is wrong, give them a way out. And so I'll come back to that book. You know, it's not a Christian book, but everybody should read it. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, says that if you let another person save face, you win a friend for life. Cover for them. Protect their self-esteem. Don't draw attention to anything that already has them feeling guilty. Now, here's another thing. Think of something that will give them hope, something to look forward to. We're all like this. We all need something to look forward to. This is the way we are wired. God made us this way, and He understands that. So if you can say something that is optimistic, cheerful, that is what most people want to hear. So another thing, we're talking about speaking blessings and energizing people. Encourage them to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. Let them speak freely about themselves. I learned from a friend of mine, his name is Alan Bell. He would ask people this question: tell me your greatest pain and your greatest pleasure at the moment. I learned that from Alan because he counsels a lot of people, and he taught me that. Ask them, what's your greatest pain right now? What's your greatest pleasure? That will draw them out. It will make them feel that you care. When they feel you care, it gives them energy that they didn't have. Or I would put it this way: ask them to let you pray with them right there. If you sense this would make them uncomfortable, then tell them you will be praying for them. Ask them how you can pray for them. They will probably tell you. It sends a beautiful signal and gives a wonderful feeling. We're talking about energizing another. Ask, is it necessary? Is it emancipating? Does it energize? And you see, energizing another is not the easiest thing to do, but do try. And as I said, you will spare yourself of emitting deadly poison. I promise. Well, now, come to the fourth thing in this acrostic, N-E-E-D. Let me repeat them. Ask, is it necessary? Does it emancipate? Does it energize? And then this, the fourth, the letter D, you ask, will I dignify this person by what I'm about to say? You know, this same Dale Carnegie that I referred to says that the greatest urge in the world is the desire to feel important. Again, this is the way we're wired. We all need significance. And when a person is not dignified, not good, but when we treat a person with dignity, we will not start a forest fire by lack of controlling the tongue from a demeaning, by demeaning a person or making them somehow feel second class, insignificant, and unimportant. You see, in case you've just joined us, I'm doing a series of talks, I think we've had 12 or 15, on controlling the tongue. And I'm wanting to say something that will keep us from starting the forest fire. You may recall in James chapter 3, he says, a tongue is a fire and a little spark. Unguarded comment, pointing the finger, sexual innuendo, any of those things will start a forest fire. I have long been intrigued by that the common people, it says in Mark 12:37, King James Version, the common people heard Jesus gladly. Why is this? You know why? It's because they felt affirmed by him. They felt important. Jesus spoke in a manner by which they felt he understood them. He gave them dignity. He gave them significance. Even a leper, ostracized by society, knew that he could get away with approaching Jesus. He wouldn't go to anybody else, but he could see something about Jesus. As he heard him speak, as he listened, he said, that man won't be offended if I go up to him. And so he went up to Jesus, and he went on bended knee and said, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus accepted him and cleansed him. Well, now, let me give some suggestions how you might dignify a person. The first, give them time. We show how much we esteem a person by how much time we give them. Not always easy to do. Not always easy to do, especially if we're busy people. But if you want to affirm a person and make them feel significant, you must take time with them. Could I pause and say right now, children spell love T-I-M-E. I've written a book called Totally Forgiving Ourselves. And in this book, I try to come clean and explain that I've had to forgive myself for something. I have not been the kind of dad that I should have been to our children. And when I think of what I've just said, children spell love, T-I-M-E. Over the years at Westminster Chapel, I was there 25 years. I wish now I had put my family first. I remember that after being there, just before I retired, after being there 25 years, the Billy Graham people came to me, wanted me to do a 60-minute video. And they asked me questions about how do you prepare your sermons? What is your doctrine of the Holy Spirit? What is it like being an American pastor of a church in London? Then they said, well, now that's 59 seconds. Dr. Kendall, we got 1 minute left. How shall we use it? Oh, I'll tell you, they said, tell us about your family and your role as a father. I said, stop, stop, don't film, don't film. On this, I have been a failure. For the last 25 years, I thought I was doing the right thing, putting the church first. I thought I was putting God first. Putting sermon preparation first. I thought I was putting God first. I now believe, had I put my family first, I would have preached just as well. I would have preached just as well. But during those 25 years, and I look back on those times when my children needed me, and I have to live with that. I will say, God restored the years which the locusts have eaten, and all's well that ends well, to quote Shakespeare. But I can tell you now, I'm one who knows the pain of thinking you're too busy, you've got to give this person priority. Look here, your family needs you. And I just felt like I should say this. Children spell love T-I-M-E. But by the way, so does everybody. So you show how much you esteem a person by how much time you give them. A second thing, here's the way you dignify a person. Not only by the time you give them, look into their eyes. Even if they do not look into your eyes, look into their eyes. A person who cannot look into someone's eyes may have a problem with guilt or a confidence, but make sure you look into their eyes. They will know by that they have your attention. Now here's the third thing, and if you see me smiling, the third thing, how to dignify a person, you smile. The reason I'm smiling, I have to remind myself all the time to do this. I actually have a friend, if you can believe this, his name is Lyndon Bowering. He's a very close friend, and I told him, I said, Lyndon, pray for me that I will smile more. My natural look is to look sober. I'm a photographer's nightmare. They say smile, and I work at it. And so Lyndon actually prays for me every day in the pulpit. And so as I'm talking now, so when I come to this last point, smile, it just made me smile. At least look pleasant. Years ago, we had a ministry on the streets of London, in Buckingham Gate and in Victoria by Westminster Abbey, Buckingham Palace, when we talked to passers-by. And you know what I found? At first, the hardest thing in the world was to smile because I was nervous. You know, being out on the streets, giving out tracts, and then stopping them to ask a question, do you know for sure if you were to die today, would you go to heaven? And I know good and well nobody wants to be stopped, because I don't. When I come out of the tube or a train station or wherever and somebody wants to give me, I don't like it. I don't like it. But I was doing it because we wanted to get the gospel out. And I learned something. I learned something early on. If I smiled, and when I began doing it, what do you suppose happened when I smiled? Most people, or at least more people, would stop and talk. And they would take my pamphlet if I'm smiling. And then let me say this, talking about dignifying them, pay them a sincere and true compliment. When you're talking to somebody and you're remembering my little acrostic, N-E-E-D, is it necessary? Does it emancipate? Does it energize? And does it dignify? One way you dignify a person is to compliment them as long as it's not contrived. Now, people can tell if you're being phony. Don't be phony. They can see right through that. But if you try to find something about them that your instinct tells you that they are pleased about, or you can say, I've heard a lot about you, if it's true, or you can say to them, you have a wonderful smile, or I love your accent. And then I would say this, ask them if they will pray for you. Perhaps not at the moment or as soon as you meet them, but if you ever ask another person to pray for you, that affirms that you believe in them, and they will feel important in your eyes. The great Apostle Paul, in the end of some of his letters, would say, pray for me, pray for me. I used to get letters from all over Britain. When I was minister of Westminster Chapel, people would say, we hold you up in prayer. It was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. I remember when I decided to retire, decided 25 years was about the right length of time to stay, I realized that when I retire, all that prayer support would end. I used to get a letter from one person that says, I pray for you every Sunday morning. Well, I knew that would end. A member of Westminster Chapel who was a deacon, now in heaven, his name was Ernie Patton. Would you believe that for nearly 25 years, he prayed for me an hour a day, every day? That's the truth. But after I announced my retirement, I called him in to see me. I said, Ernie, thank you for praying for me as you have done over the years. But now I'm leaving. New man is coming. I set you free. You pray for the new pastor. And I knew it was the right thing to do. But here's the thing. When people pray for you, it's so good. And then when you ask people to pray for you, it affirms them. And if you ask them, it gives them a higher level of significance. What is more, if you're like me, you need all the prayer you can get. All right, what's the bottom line of my talk today? If you want to excel in controlling the tongue, speak in such a manner that meets a person's need. You will not only be spared of regrettable words, you bless people. You actually bless them. And so I would just like to read that verse one more time. We started out with where Paul said in Colossians chapter 4, verse 6, and we had this prayer covenant based upon speaking blessings. Well, here's what Paul said. Let your conversation be full of grace, always seasoned with salt, so that you will know how to answer everyone. Now, this is the thing. We are told by Peter that we should have a word, be able to answer. You know, there are times when people ask you philosophical questions or theological questions or hard questions. And Peter says that we should always be able to give an answer and give the reason for the hope you have. 1 Peter 3, verse 15. Well, what Paul is saying, if you speak blessings, you will have an answer. And I'll tell you something else. When you speak in such a way that you're not pointing the finger, you're not letting them feel guilty, you're not throwing up their past, and they know that you are affirming them, I'll tell you a fringe benefit. God will give you words, and you will have words that you never expected to have. A year or so, actually about 6 months after we retired, I was given an unusual privilege. Never dreamed this would happen. we took a trip to Israel. I was part of a trip where I think 250 Brits were going to Israel and pray for peace, and I was one of the leaders. While I was there, Canon Andrew White, who sometimes appears on this network, heard I was there and wanted to see me. He'd been asking me for years to come with him to Jerusalem. I never could go. But he said, how would you like to meet Yasser Arafat? Oh, well, I said to him, do you know, I started praying for him every day 20 years ago. Really? Well, he was surprised. Well, when I went in to meet Yasser Arafat, I could say to him, Rais, I can't prove this, but I think I've prayed for you more than any church leader in the world has. I can't prove it, but I dare say it's true. I prayed for you every day, started 20 years ago. And tears filled his eyes. And I claim the promise, when you stand before kings, I mean, he wasn't a king, but he's an authority figure, don't take any thought what you will say. The Lord will give you the words. And I always had words. I visited him 5 times. The point is, when you speak blessings, God will give you words. And God always gave me words for Yasser Arafat. We became friends. And he loved me, I loved him. And I could say a lot more about that. I just want you to know that when you make it a lifestyle to speak blessings, say what is necessary, say what will emancipate, say what will energize, and say what will dignify. You will be given words to say, and to refer to Dale Carnegie one more time, you'll make friends and influence people. Because James doesn't want us to speak words that are a spark that causes a forest fire, or to speak poison, but be a blessing, set people free like Jesus did. Well, I'll be back another time with a bit more on controlling the tongue, but for now, that's it. God bless you until next time.